one.
I hope you're not still fucking frozen like Elsa, because the 10-8 round is back to tell you what you missed on Saturday and to answer the rumor. Are there fights this weekend? I suspect there might be. I am Zach from Filthy Philadelphia, joined by John Boy down there in sunny Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and we're fired the fuck up.
Let's
John,
go.
what's up? What's going on?
Dude, that card did not disappoint, man.
Top to bottom, stellar
It
card.
Amazing card, start to finish. I think we got the results that we wanted to.
Yep.
We were pretty on the money in our
Pretty
assessment on the pod. Picks and prediction looked good. And our boy Adesanya got it done, man. Not too many complaints.
Izzy got it done.
Played a little possum.
Izzy got it done.
Played a little possum though, huh? I didn't expect that from him to kind of like play like he was hurt a little bit, come over with that right hand over the top and shut Pereira's lights off.
That was, I'll say only this now because I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit deeper, but that Izzy looked different from the walkout, man. First of all, coming out to the 2004 hit by Trapped. That's letting everybody know it's fucking business time.
Yeah, it's next level. That's like serious shit.
Right. And the look, and I don't know if you were super zoned in during the walkouts. The look on Izzy's face, man, it looked like it was no fucking around time.
Yeah, no, he definitely had his eye on the prize. The whole like dog leash thing, it was corny and it was cringe as fuck, but like, I don't know, I feel like he really believed it.
Yeah.
And I feel like once that, like you saw it, when they took that thing off of him, dude, his eyes were locked from start to finish. He was focused, man. And he said it was all on the line. You know what I mean? He said, this is everything.
Yeah.
That was something that he wasn't really acknowledging prior. So, man, happy for him, dude. I was stoked.
You know what? I'm getting re-stoked. I gotta hang on. There we go.
Let it rip, little kill cliff action.
Yeah, I need
the nerves.
I'm too hot right now. All right, there we go. Yeah, that whole card though was just, and I know we'll get into our takeaways here in a minute, and I'm sure we have some good ones and some stuff to say. But I was struggling today to think about takeaways because honestly, it was just a solid card. Like it was just a really good night of fights. Like I just thoroughly enjoyed watching every fight.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to say, right? It was just a great fucking fight card. Who's next? I don't know, but I really like the fights.
100%, man.
You want to get right into it? You want to do a little takeaways from the event as best we can?
Yeah, man. I mean, let's do it. You want to start us off?
I do. I want to start us off
Good.
with my most obvious takeaway of the event, of the night. Joe Pyfer is a fucking problem at 185.
Yeah.
I mean, just, and I think you rightly pointed it out, right? Which is that GM3 was not just a good grappler. He was a good grappler who had stepped in the octagon with some heavy fucking strikers and had come out victorious. Joe Pyfer needed less than a round to go in there and just absolutely starch GM3. Like it was a walk-off. Like Joe Pyfer just stopped hitting, like because he knew it was over. GM3 was shelled up. He was not defending himself, and Joe Pyfer was done. Not a mark on him. Wow.
Yeah. No, I mean, one of my takeaways, it could be a joint takeaway, is that I was wrong on Pyfer. I mean, he looked great. Start to finish, it was pure domination. Mearshart looked a little shaky, but I think that's more of a testament to how good Pyfer really is. Who do you think's next? Who would you give him next at 185 pounds?
Well, that's a really good question, right? Is kind of what does Joe Pyfer do next at 185? And I don't necessarily know the answer, but I do know that he's clearly ready for the next big test.
I have an idea.
Hit it.
Bruno Silva.
They better get an ambulance and some mops ready. Somebody's bleeding in that one.
Why Bruno Silva, right? GM3 beat him. Bruno Silva went 3 hard rounds with Pereira. I feel like that's not throwing him in with the dogs, but giving him another tough test at 185.
Yeah.
Different style too, right? Like another striker who's going to test him actually like is going to try and strike with him.
Yeah. The only other thought that I had, and this is, since we did a joint first takeaway, this will lead us right into my second takeaway. Maybe Kelvin Gastelum?
Ooh, I kind of like that.
Because my second takeaway is that Kelvin Gastelum still got that dog in him.
And dude, we were on KG. KG was one of my favorite plays of the card. I
Yeah.
was stoked on him. I said he was one of my locks. I thought his discrepancy in talent, his guys at who's he's faced were at a higher level than Chris Curtis. A lot
Yeah.
of people were saying that was robbery. I didn't. I thought it was KG 29-28 pretty clear.
Yeah.
Um,
That was how I had it.
but yeah, man, that would be a good fight actually. Piper Gastelum, that would be fireworks.
What you have in Gastelum and what's always been sort of, the craziest part of Gastelum is that motherfucker is just hard to stop.
Dude,
Like
his chin is ridiculous.
it's insane.
Yeah.
So
And he has good cardio.
he's got impeccable cardio.
Yeah.
One of the things we didn't see this weekend was that he's also a pretty phenomenal wrestler.
Yeah.
He until Pereira beat Izzy, Kelvin Gastelum had come the closest to beating Adesanya when he had him rocked in the fifth with a left kick.
Yeah, I mean, that fight was 2-2 going into 5.
Yeah, and but for a really badly timed takedown on Gastelum's part, he probably had Adesanya finished.
Good call.
So, there are two guys who are clearly, I think Gastelum was ranked 15. He fought Curtis, who was 14. I don't know what GM3 was ranked. I don't know if he was higher than that or not, but you're looking at two guys who are kind of battling through the weeds of 185 right now to come out the other side and start getting in that top 5 contention position.
Yeah.
This is a great way to find out who's ready to move on to, top 10, top 5, top 7 fights and who's maybe, not. So I think that's a good fight to make.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a good one. That's a lot. It might be too much, at first for Piper, but we'll see. It'd be a fun matchup. He earned his stars with Gerald Mearshart, GM3. So props to Piper, man. Props to Piper.
Be Joe Piper. What else can you say? Be Joe Piper. That motherfucker hits hard. Shout out to our 2 Philly insiders, Timmy G and Mike Wilcox, 2 former
Legends.
who both kind of put us on the right path to let us know Joe Piper was about that life.
I didn't listen at all. So my bad, boys.
Hey, I am glad that we are here in a moment where the Philadelphians who listen to this every week can see you be a man.
I'll eat my crow.
You'll eat your crow. You give Joe Piper his due and propers, and here we are. That's it. That's it. What do you got for your second takeaway? What do you want to talk about?
I got a hot take here. I'm going to jump right into it. I don't think Alex Pereira should fight at 185 again.
Fuck, this is my third takeaway.
I don't think he should rematch Adesanya at 185. I think there's potential for him to pick up steam at 205. I think the matchups are there. It's not a super grappling heavy division, especially with Glover retiring, right? You got Yuri up there. You have Jamal Hill. You got the Johnny Walkers of the world. Yep. You have a lot of strikers up there. I think Alex Pereira, I think people like him. I just think the people love Izzy. So it's hard for him to kind of get that snowball effect. But I think if he goes to 205, there is a path for him. The Jamal Hill redemption over Glover. And then just stylistically at 205, I would love to see Pereira at 205. That's my takeaway.
I could not agree more. And I have it written down right here as my next thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Pereira to go to 205.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine Pereira Yuri? That fight
Pereira, Jamal Hill, Pereira, Johnny Walker, Pereira, anybody at 205 is just must-see TV.
Yeah, I think, and this might be also a hot take, but if you think about it long enough, I think you'll agree with me. The only problem at 205 that I see for Pereira, if they match him up with Paul Craig.
I don't even know.
I think it's the only problem I see for Pereira, right? Because that would be the only way that Alex Pereira, I think, gets sidetracked at 205 is a weird guy like Paul Hill who just guard pulls and grabs his heel and hooks it.
I know what you mean. I just feel like there's no like true grapplers at 205. You know what I mean? With Glover exiting the division, there's nobody who's like has a super strong wrestling prowess.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe Alexander Rakic would be like the most, and he barely wrestles. So I don't know, man. I think he would dice up Paul Craig. I would love to see him hop in there against like Johnny Walker. You're telling me that that would not be absolutely, he probably knocks Walker out flush, but
I was gonna say,
that's a great 205 welcoming party. That is fireworks written all over it, that fight.
I think Alex Pereira flatlines Johnny Walker and possibly ends his career.
I do too, but like, would you not Pereira Hill? Who would you have in that?
Shit, I don't know. I honestly don't know, right? Like that's hard to pick. Especially because, and this is credit to Alex Pereira, he's getting better, right? He's learning. He's up there with Glover Teixeira at the camp in Danbury. He's learning, he's getting better. Obviously, this weekend was not one of his better moments, but is getting better with Glover. Match him up with any 205er, and I'm going to tune in to watch it.
I guess maybe Jan would be the biggest issue, but
And interestingly enough, did you see that Jan is now threatening to go to 185 to fight Izzy down there?
if he could make it, that would make a lot of sense for him
It would.
because he gets an immediate title shot. Izzy would want that fight at 185 to get redemption over the 205 loss. Yeah, man, 205, 185 is interesting. How you can kind of bump up a little bit or lose a little bit and go down. It's a 20-pound weight difference, though. It's 20 pounds right there.
It's a huge weight difference, and most guys at 205 are walking around, 220 plus, north of 230. I mean, what is Alex Pereira walking at? It's got to be in the 230s.
Yeah.
I mean, and we don't know, right? We don't know how much of Pereira are we losing because he's trying to suck 50 pounds of water weight. What does this guy look like when he's only got to make 205?
Yeah.
But I have no idea, but it's a terrifying thought.
I agree.
It's a terrifying thought. Yeah, and I may have to share it on our socials. My cousin Kelly came over to watch the fights. We were catching up and watching them, and I'm trying to convert. I'm trying to get another MMA fan. And so I was giving her the rundown and the history between Izzy and Pereira and all this.
Yeah.
And then Izzy flatlines Pereira, and she actually got a picture of my reaction.
Oh, dude, how have I not seen that?
It's insane. It's wild. Like my reaction is I'm standing up, clutching both sides of my head, screaming.
That should be plastered all over 10-8 round socials right now. I don't know why it isn't.
I want to print it out and see if I can get Adesanya to sign it for me.
Put that shit on a t-shirt, dude.
Right? Like this is how hype I was for your fucking victory.
Dude. Yeah, and he knocked him out flush. He was out cold.
That
was nasty.
There's so much and so little to say about that moment, right?
Yeah.
All of the things that I could say would never do it justice anyway. The beauty of the rivalry, the redemption, the seriousness, the playing possum, faking the leg injury, turtling up on the cage, and then springing out at the exact right moment.
Yeah, it was calculated.
So much I could say, and none of it would do it justice.
Yeah.
Do it justice. If you didn't watch it, I don't know what to tell you.
I think we all knew kind of that Izzy was the more talented guy.
Agreed.
That's why he got the respect with the bookmakers and he was the favorite, even though he had lost the 3 prior. And he just made the little tiny nudges. I did see that Izzy won the first round on every scorecard, and I'm a little bit skeptical of that. I don't know if he did that because I thought Pereira looked good. I thought Pereira looked good early, and I thought Izzy kind of baited him into looking good, and then he countered in the second round. But yeah, no, great fight. Love it for Izzy.
What's next at 185?
Oh, this is the easiest question of the entire show. Dricus du Plessis.
You like Dricus in that position?
The whole entire African thing about him saying that Israel Adesanya is not a real South African, and them going back and forth, him not saying his name on the post-fight presser. Du Plessis posted a picture on his IG today. I guess he was at a rugby match holding up the South African flag for the national team. I mean, it's written on the wall. And we get to watch Dricus du Plessis get absolutely annihilated. So, just make it happen.
I'll send $80 on a post-dated check to the UFC right now for that fight. I'll pay in advance for that pay-per-view.
And I will put everything I have on Israel Adesanya.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet the farm on Izzy on that one.
That's a minus 1,000 odds in my mind.
So
But it's the
what
fight to make.
I think that's right. And I think if even if it's not the fight to make for the talent, if it's not the fight to make for the rankings, it's the fight to make to sell the fight. And I'm going to say this too, because I think Izzy would rightfully be a huge favorite. I think Izzy deserves one.
He
Like,
deserves like a layup.
yeah, he deserves to not fight a guy who, because who's in the wings after that, right? It's the Wolf. It's Hamzat Shemaev.
Yeah, I mean, right. Like a lot of people are saying if Roman Dolidze wins that fight against Marvin Vettori a couple weeks ago, he's the next guy in line. So that gives you an idea. It's like Dricus du Plessis might make sense, right? He's coming off of a win against Darren Till. Like Adesanya's beaten everybody, right? I mean, Whitaker's gotten beaten, Vittori's gotten beaten. We've seen it all. Du Plessis, dude, the lead up, the build up to that fight would be absolutely incredible. Oh
Yeah.
my god! And Adesanya would absolutely wash him. I need that to be said right now.
There's a term that we don't use enough for a good ass kicking. It's called a mollywop.
He
I
would
mollywop him. Yeah, just absolute mollywop Dricus du Plessis.
yeah.
And I will be happier than a pig in shit to watch that happen.
Agreed. That's the fight to make.
So what then of Chimaev? Is Chimaev after du Plessis in your mind?
I just feel like Chimaev. I just feel like Chimaev at 170. Like there's a path to victory, and you fought so many times at 170, right? You beat Burns at 170, who's arguably the next guy up. It's like if you wait for the Kobe Leon fight, you're probably next in line.
Yeah.
I just feel like he should wait his turn at 170. He can win the belt at 170, vacate it, and go up. But like, dude, just fight one more at 170 for the belt. I feel like he deserves it too.
Yeah, it's hard to argue it, other than the weight issues, right? It's kind of hard to argue it. I don't know if you saw, but I think Hamzat Shemaev set a record on Saturday for callouts. I think he called out every single fighter on the card.
That doesn't surprise me. That's just who he type of dude he is, though.
Like, I can't rule out that he might have called out Michelle Watterson. Like he called out everybody on the fucking card.
Bro, that's like fucking Bilal Muhammad. Do you see Bilal Muhammad's calling out like 185ers? He was calling out Sean Strickland. I was like, these guys are just trying to be relevant.
Yeah.
How about this? We might have just made the fight. How about Chimaev Bilal?
Chimaev Bilal, that's a good fight.
Winner of that fight gets the immediate title
Gets
shot.
the immediate shot after Leon and Colby.
Yes.
Which at this point, right, it's got to be Leon Colby.
And then you have Shavkat just waiting there as boogeyman in the background.
Yeah, you have the future champion just waiting for his shot.
Shavkat beats all four of them.
Yeah, in the same night, probably.
In my opinion, yeah, I think he's the best guy by far.
I that's 100%. That's my call. I think Shavkat Rakhmonov will be the champion at 170. If the stars align, it'll be by the end of the year, right? Obviously,
it'll be by the end of the year.
It only takes one injury, one medical suspension to fuck that up, but I think he should be.
I agree.
I think he should be.
You have another takeaway?
No, that was it. You did my third takeaway. So
I figured third.
Yeah, I figured we just kind of freeform it a little bit.
I like that. I want to give us a little pat on the back. I don't know if this is a takeaway, but we nailed Rob Font. We nailed Rob Font. We said that, it was too much. Adrian Yanez beating up freaking just not same level of competition. And it showed, man. It showed early too. It was first round. It was quicker than we thought it was going to be. What's his name? Greg Kelly or Tom, what's his name? Who he beat Yanez, his last win?
Oh, it was Tony. Was it Tony Kelly?
Tony Kelly. Tony Kelly is not Cody Garbrandt. Tony Kelly is not Marlon Chito Vera.
And he's clearly not Rob fucking Font.
No, and he's not. And good call by us. If you tailed us, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Rob Font, man, that felt good because that was just like a very sound read that we
I,
both were on there. So that was nice.
yeah, we told you Rob Font. We told you Israel Adesanya. We told you Kelvin Gastelum. If you listened to John, you knew Kevin Holland. If you listened to me, you knew Joe Pfeiffer.
We got it all covered. We go
Got
both ways. We hash our losses. If you listen to me or you're gonna hit eventually.
Yeah, exactly. Kevin Holland, great performance against Santiago Ponzinibbio, right? Not much to say about it. It was just a well-rounded, solid performance. Um,
Yeah,
did you catch the Raul Rosas dethroning?
I did.
I felt there's a this is a multicultural podcast, right? We intend to educate. There is a word in the German language for taking pleasure in others' misfortunes. Called
Oh, dude, you're fucked up.
I know I am. It's called Schadenfreude.
You're
And
fucked up.
for a brief moment, and I've tried to let it go.
Wow,
I've
that's sick.
I've consulted some Buddhist spiritual thinkers to help me recenter my chi. But
Yeah.
for a brief moment, I had a little bit of Schadenfreude watching Raul Rosas get kind of dethroned there.
Dude,
I know, I'm fucked up. I'm sorry.
the kid is 18 years old. I mean, I found
Barely,
it
too. Barely.
barely. I found a new appreciation for him. I thought he handled the loss well. I think we knew he was a little bit fraudulent, right? It was just how good is Christian Rodriguez. Comes from a good camp, though, right? He trains with Cejudo, so you
Yeah.
know that they're not going to placate this guy. He's gonna fight some of the real guys in camp and shit like that. But yeah, no. Paul Rosas Jr. needs to work on his game. He reminds me of like a Chase Hooper, where it's like he
One
can
dimensional.
grapple. He's really good at one facet of the game. But as soon as you start getting to the upper echelon of the division, it's going to get ugly. The kid can't strike for shit.
No.
The kid can't strike. You saw him, soon as opening bell went off, he sprinted to the other side of the ring for a takedown. That's fucked up, though.
I know it's fucked
That
up.
is kind of fucked up.
But I feel okay about it because I think we all know Raul Rosas will probably be back. He's 18 years old. He has not even reached like physical maturity yet, right? Like the male physical maturity is at like 25.
And that's why I give him that respect. But yeah.
But yeah, no, and the other thing that I think really kind of got exposed, and this was a little bit of stroke of mastery from Christian Rodriguez. If you watch Raul Rosas' first two fights, he kind of overwhelmed by grappling volume his opponent.
Yeah.
Rodriguez rode that wave. Let Raul Rosas. Raul Rosas was on his back at one point. It looked like it was going to be another night at the office for Rosas Jr. Rodriguez weathered that storm. Come round two. Rosas looked fucking gassed. He looked fucking winded.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So, look, I mean, he's 1-1 in the UFC. I'm sure he'll be back. I'm sure this will be a learning experience. But there was a brief moment. Just a brief moment where I was like, yeah, you young motherfucker. Take your ass back to the fucking gym.
And I get it, but it's like you think about where you are in your life at 18 years old and then where you are to 25. That's 7 years is such a massive leap. And you should come into that thinking that with a fight like that, right? Where the age discrepancy is that wide.
Yeah, I agree. I
It's
couldn't agree more. I mean,
at that age, it's like there's gonna be a learning curve. Like you still need to eat a little bit more shit before you get to the top. I think he'll be back though. I think
so.
I think he has the determination, like the work ethic. He'll be back. He can grapple, man. If you're not good defensive grappling, he's gonna submit you early. So
I mean, I think the thing Rosas Jr. needs to do now, look, I mean, he said it, right? Like his mom still drives him to fucking MMA practice and wherever Las Vegas, I think is where he's from.
crazy.
Like, dude, you're 18 now. You know what? You want to be on your martial arts journey? Go down to Arizona, go to fucking Cejudo's camp, go out to Alpha Male in California, move to ATT in Florida. Like, go get in the gym with some real fucking killers now because you've got the chops, you've got the grappling chops. Go to fucking Milwaukee. Let Duke Rufus teach you how to throw a punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. It feels like so much so fast at that age, but you're in the UFC, and if you don't take it seriously, you're going to get seriously hurt too. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly. And you're 18, like
yeah,
you've got the goods, you've got the raw material. Go find somebody who will really fucking fine tune that shit. And honestly, I think Duke Rufus would be a great place for him, you know? The former camp of Paul Felder, Anthony Pettis,
Ben
right?
Askren.
Ben Askren. But Duke Rufus being, one of the first guys to really tout the effectiveness of Muay Thai in North America, right? The guy who went over to Thailand and did it. All right, we know you can grapple. Great. Go learn how to punch.
Yeah,
I think that's the answer.
I agree.
Because then, because like you said, 7 years is a lifetime, especially in MMA. That's a career.
Yeah, for sure.
So by the time he's 25, he could either be a fucking champion or he could be washed the fuck out from 7 years of fights like that.
Yeah, you just don't want him to take too much damage, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Like Chase Hooper at a young age, right? Like the dude is a fish out of water on his feet, and that is not a good place to be a fish out of water in the UFC. So you got to go back to a local circuit, work those kinks out,
Yeah.
and then eventually we'll see a couple of years down the road, maybe.
Not everybody can be Paul Craig.
No,
Not everybody can be Paul Craig.
no, that's a specific set of skills that only a couple people embody. So
Yeah. Yeah, Damian Maya and Paul Craig. Everybody else has to learn how to punch.
who else? There's a couple other ones.
I mean, you could argue that Hoist Gracie really couldn't punch worth a shit either.
Yeah, thinking of other guys too, but
If you want to get nostalgic.
yeah. Who's that one bum? Ronnie Yaya, who was supposed to fight Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah, that's true.
That dude's useless on the feet. But I think I did hear that there were fights though.
I was going to ask you. I heard a rumor that there were fights this weekend. You're usually who I check with to confirm that rumor. So, are there fights this weekend?
I believe so. I believe we have a fight night on our hands.
A pretty good fight night too. We're hitting Kansas City, Missouri.
That's kind of fire. I like that. Little Midwest action. I feel like the fans are rowdy. I feel like that's a good place to watch MMA.
Yeah, you got to feed them out in the Midwest, You got to feed them out there.
I would love to go out for a fight night. We should do that. We should go out to like one of those places like Iowa or Kansas City for like a fight night in Missouri. That'd be kind of wild.
You know where I'd love to go, and I'm going to say it for two reasons. One, the blue collar roots of the state kind of intrigue me to go out there. There's some greatness that has come out of this place.
Okay.
And two, we've got fans out there. Shout out to the homies Jess and John.
Shout out Jess and John.
Love to go to Ohio.
Oh,
right? The birthplace of Stipe.
Oh, I could see that.
Right? I'd love to get out there, Who knows?
All right, we have a fight card. I'm going to grab a beverage very quickly. But we have a fight card, Zach.
You're walking off screen. This is a first. I'm alone right now on screen.
That's all right.
I wouldn't trust me without supervision. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if you're as torn as I am on this one. But
I am.
You are torn on this one?
I'm torn. Max Holloway, Arnold Allen, I'm torn.
All right. This is what I'll say. My entire take on MMA and Arnold Allen has been that he's fraudulent.
Okay.
My entire take with Max Holloway is he is the exact opposite of fraudulent.
Yeah.
For those reasons and those reasons only, if I did not side with Max Holloway here, I would be kicking myself afterwards. I'm gonna go with Holloway here. I was on Cater our last show when Cater headlined against Allen. We were heavy on Cater, but I think that was a little bit, there's an asterisk with that win. Cater blew his knee out in the first round. Cater is notoriously known to be a little bit of a slow starter. He dropped rounds to Jeremy Stevens before he knocked him out. I need to see a little bit more out of Allen. Don't get me wrong. He looks really good. I just think Holloway is going to have a chip on his shoulder. I think this is going to be a tough fight. I think it's going to be a good fucking fight. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds. Oh, I got a weird feeling about it. I don't know. I think Holloway. Oh, I hope Holloway gets it done. I hope my reads are right, and I'm going to go with Holloway. I would be hurt if Allen won this fight.
This is one of those nights where we agree.
Okay.
This is just one of those nights where we agree. Right. Yeah, Calvin Kattar was losing the fight to Arnold Allen before the knee injury. Sure. Calvin Kattar's a slow starter. Calvin Kattar took one of the most thorough ass kickings I've ever seen in the octagon to Max Holloway.
Yes.
Truly bell to bell destruction. Max Holloway beat Yair Rodriguez. He beat Calvin Kattar,
That's a crazy win, too.
right?
With what Yair is doing post win, evident with the Emmett fight and stuff like that, it's a good win. But one thing too to make note of is Holloway did wrestle in that fight.
He did.
A big contribution of his win was taking takedowns on Rodriguez when he could. I don't know if he'll have that same avenue with Allen.
I don't know that he will either, but let's look at his last 4 wins, right? Brian Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez.
Yes.
It has been 4 years since Max Holloway lost a fight to somebody not named Alexander Volkanovski.
Yep.
The last loss before that, he went up a weight class to fight Dustin Poirier to chase that champ status.
Crazy.
Right? I mean, Max Holloway is, and I think you put it best, right? 2 back-to-back wins over Jose Aldo, a win over Anthony Pettis, Ricardo Lamas, Charles Oliveira. I mean, Max Holloway is, I don't have a better way to say it. He's the opposite of fraudulent. Max Blessed Holloway is that dude, has been that dude. And until I see evidence otherwise, I think he remains that fucking dude. He is an absolute monster. He has hands that are of an artistic quality inside the octagon that Michelangelo would be jealous of. And so until I see Arnold Allen beat Max Holloway, I'm riding with Max Holloway.
Yeah, I mean, Holloway is known for his striking, right? His durability, his pace, and his output is big.
Yeah.
He's somebody who responds well, I feel like, to adversity, right?
Yep.
Like you said, he hasn't had a loss to somebody not named Alexander Volkanovski in 4 years. Since that Poirier loss, he responded well. He came back better than ever and responded with that absolute ass whooping of Calvin Kattar, who's as legit as can be.
Yep.
His last fight, it was a one-sided decision against Volkanovski, where Volkanovski won that fight very convincingly. So I feel like there is a chip on Holloway's shoulder. People think he's washed, and I feel like he's the type of person who will respond in the face of adversity. But I don't want to doubt Arnold Allen too much because he's made me, he's made me eat my words a couple times now. But I'm going to ride this one till the wheels fall off. I'm going with the Blessed Express all day.
Yeah, Max Holloway is just one of those guys that until I'm proven otherwise, I'm always gonna ride with. And listen,
Yeah.
I was at the last Holloway Volk fight. Volk won that fight, and he won that fight, right? But before that, Volk 1 and 2 were good fights.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people thought Holloway won, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and that's the level of competition. You're going up against a guy who's, undefeated in the UFC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
you've
speaks
got
volumes. This is definitely Arnold Allen's biggest test. Definitely, it's definitely not Max Holloway's biggest test. But I mean, what? Arnold Allen's 29 years old. Holloway's 31.
Which is insane to me that Max Holloway is 31. I thought he was like 37 or 38. This man is a year younger than I am.
He does have a stat that I don't love, and I do believe he has, like, he's in the top 5 for most strikes absorbed.
Yes.
In UFC history, which is never great. I think like some of the guys on that list are like Tony Ferguson, Frankie Edgar, guys who have like noticeably have had durability issues going on late. Holloway does absorb a lot of shots. He is in a lot of wars. He had a lot of problems, remember, with they were taking him out of fights because of his, I don't know what it was, his brain activity or whatever was going on. So I mean, obviously that does, that is a little bit of concerning when you're backing a guy going into a fight, but yeah, man, I gotta go at Max here. I just have to. There is a little bit of my heart though in this one.
I agree. And this is wild. Do you know when the last time Max Holloway was stopped was? Like a fight that Max Holloway was in where he lost via a stoppage.
I don't has he ever been finished in the UFC?
Once. in his UFC debut.
Really interesting. Don't
One
tell me.
time. I won't tell you. It was one time.
It was his UFC debut. Ah, what a guy to make a UFC debut against.
Right? He lost via a triangle choke to Dustin Poirier.
Yep. And
That
then
was
the rest of his wins are by, or the rest of his losses are by decision or split decision.
yep.
He lost to Dennis Bermudez. Ugh.
Back in the day.
Back in 2013.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I mean, 2013 was back when Dennis Bermudez was still kind of sort of somebody.
Wow. Holloway beat Charles Oliveira. First
Oliver.
round, first
Oliver.
round, first round TKO in 2015.
Yep.
That's
Oh, yeah.
wild.
He has an absolutely storied MMA career and has not been finished since 2012. My senior year of college. Where were you in 2012? Were you high school still?
Yeah, I graduated in 2013.
That's offensive.
So 2012, bro. That was the year of the Mayan calendar, wasn't it? That was when the year was supposed to end.
It was supposed to end and it didn't.
We're still fucking here doing a podcast, so clearly it didn't.
Or we're in a simulation. I don't know. Sound off in the comments. Tell us, is life real or is it a computer simulation? You let us know.
It's a pretty lit simulation.
It's
We
pretty
love
lit.
talking fights, right?
I'm having if this is a simulation, I'm having a fucking blast. So
Yes,
keep the
sign me
computer
up.
plugged in. Co-main event got a little juice on it.
Well,
Edson Barboza.
one thing we never covered. So
Yeah.
I'm not to interrupt you, but we never
Oh,
went
not
over
at
the
all.
betting line.
Oh shit! I'm gonna guess Max Holloway's the favorite.
Yeah, he's minus 160.
Okay.
He did open up at like minus 190. The line movement has moved. General public is on Arnold Allen.
Surprising.
I don't hate that. Usually when the general public is super heavy on somebody, that's good.
Yeah. A
Because
lot of casuals out there.
it's usually a fade. But yeah, man, Max Holloway is minus 160. I'm gonna ride with my boy here. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Until proven otherwise, I'm riding with Blessed. That's just the way it is. Nothing else I can say about it.
Like you said, we have another fight here.
We got a little Edson Barboza, Billy Q action.
Yeah,
That's a spicy little number.
That's spicy.
That's a spicy little number right there.
That's spicy. Is that at 135?
I believe that's at 135.
Wow,
145.
145 probably actually.
Yeah.
Yep, it's at featherweight. Who you got there? Who you think the favorite is there? That's an interesting one.
Billy Q.
He is minus 160.
And I think he's going to get it done.
Yeah. How old do you think Edson Barboza is?
517.
Older.
He's older than that. Yeah. He's got to be in his 40s. 37. All right.
Not that bad. Billy Q's 34. I thought the age discrepancy was going to be a little bit wider. I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm riding pretty strongly with Billy Q here for two reasons. One, I wanted to ride with Billy Q in his last fight and didn't, and was thoroughly proven wrong when he beat Alexander Hernandez via TKO in the second round. And I don't know, Billy Q's just he's one of those guys. He's just got that fucking dog in him. Barbosa's got that dog in him, but I think this is a question of an aging dog versus I guess a slightly younger dog. I don't know. I gotta lean on Billy Q here.
I'm gonna go the contrary here. I'm gonna go with Edson Barboza.
Good. I like that.
This is the one thing, right? If we're gonna do MMA math, which is never logically something smart to do, an opponent who that they've had that's been similar within their last two fights, each of them, was Shane Burgos.
Yeah.
Okay. Billy Q lost that fight and Barboza knocked Burgos out.
He did.
For that reason, it's a little bit more enticing for me to side with Barboza. I actually don't think Billy Q's that good on the feet. I feel like he's very just overwhelming. He has very good pace and output, but from a technical standpoint, he's not great. I think Barboza is going to be able to capitalize in some of those spots. But it wouldn't surprise me if Billy Q won, but I'm going to ride Barboza here at plus 140. I think it's going to be greasy, though. It's going to be greasy as fuck.
I think it's a fair read, right? And again, Edson Barboza has some of the most famous kicks in MMA. So,
Mhm.
I mean, place one of those right, and all the MMA math in the world goes out the window because you just got kicked by Edson Barboza. And
Exactly. And that's one of those reasons why you're like, oh, okay. At
yeah,
any point in time, he could end the fight.
I think Billy Q's looked promising lately. I think he's really looked good. Barbosa does have the win over Burgos where Billy Q failed, but in Barbosa's last 7 fights, he's 2-5. And then before that, he had lost two. I mean, to Kevin Lee and Khabib Nurmagomedov. So let me not, undersell it here. But I think Barbosa's best days may be behind him.
Yeah, I mean, his last two losses are Giga Chikadze and Bryce Mitchell. Not horrible losses.
Not horrible, but when you compare him to Kevin Lee and Khabib Nurmagomedov or Paul Felder, Justin Gaethje, right, you're seeing a little bit of a decline. But has a win over Beneil Dariush, who is the next thing. So who can call it?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing too is we're pointing out the loss to Shane Burgos, but a fight before that, he does have a loss to Gavin Tucker as well, Billy
Yeah,
Quarantillo,
yeah, that's
which
right.
isn't a great loss. He takes a lot of damage before he can kind of, institute his game plan with like the overwhelming volume. So he does take shots. I don't know if he's going to be able to wear those shots. Hernandez got a licking on him in the first round.
He
Hernandez
did.
and Hernandez is known to kind of fade into the later rounds. So that kind of gave, Quarantillo, a way to capitalize. I don't know, man. I'm torn on this one. I'm gonna side with Barboza just because the odds, man.
Yeah.
The
It's
odds are there for me. The plus 140, that's juicy.
it's
That's
never a bad idea to bet on Edson Barbosa.
yeah.
Right? It's never a bad idea. I'm not saying you're always going to win, but it's never a bad idea.
I just found my favorite bet on the card.
Tell me it.
Tanner Boser plus 105.
Over Ion Kutilaba?
Yeah.
Okay.
Best bet on the card.
Let's hear it.
I mean, we're jumping a fight. We're jumping over Dustin Jacoby and Murazakhanov, but Tanner Boser fought at heavyweight, right?
Yep.
This is a guy who's fought Serial Gone.
Yep.
This is a guy who's fought some of the biggest, baddest heavyweights on planet Earth. He has wins over credentialed guys, right? He
Yep.
has a win over. Let me get it right now. I know he's got a great win that I really liked. He went 3 rounds with Arlovsky, won that. I mean, this is a guy who's a light heavyweight who is fighting at heavyweight. This is going to be
He
his.
lost Arlovsky.
This is going to be our. It was a good fight though. This is going to be his first fight ever at light heavyweight, ever. All of his fights were at heavyweight. He has losses to Cyril Gahn,
Yep.
Arlovsky, which was a bullshit decision.
Yep.
Alir Latifi, another bullshit split decision. He knocked out Ovin St. Preux.
He
And
did.
then his other loss was a bullshit split decision to Rodrigo Nascimento. So you're talking 3 split decision losses and then a loss to Cyril Gahn at heavyweight. And he's fighting a guy in Ion Kutabala who has just not been consistent at all at light heavyweight. I think if Boser is serious about his career, to move from heavyweight to light heavyweight like this and be an underdog, this is the opportunity. It's make or break. It's make or break for Tanner Boser. And to give me plus odds against Ion Kutabala,
Kuti Laba.
I'm taking it all day. Whatever his name is, we're cashing the ticket at the booth, and that's all that matters.
I agree. I agree with your assessment completely. We've been high on Tanner Boser on this pod before.
We have.
We've said some good things about
And
him.
he fucked us.
And he did. He completely fucked us.
Yeah.
Here's redemption. I don't think Ion Kutilaba's that good. I don't think he's that good.
He isn't.
Let's look at his last 6 fights. Lost to Kennedy and Jocko. Lost to Johnny Walker. Lost to Ryan Spann. And we had backed Kutilaba in that fight. Lost to Ryan Spann. Beat Devin Clark. Drew with Dustin Jacoby. Lost to Magomed Ankalaev twice. Beat Khalil Roundtree. Lost to Glover Teixeira. I don't
The Kennedy loss, his last loss, is the most alarming one. Right?
Why? What's not alarming for us because we're not backing him.
I'm talking about like what's suspect and fraudulent about his record, right? Like his last loss is against a guy who's pretty unproven.
Yeah.
Johnny Walker and Ryan Spann, they're not horrible losses. I don't know. I just like Tanner Boser at a plus money price tag as well.
And when Ian Cutelaba fought Ryan Spann, we backed Cutelaba. I remember us being kind of high on Cutelaba, and he got fucking. I mean, quite frankly, he got submitted by Ryan Spann, who again is not bad, but I don't think is that fucking good.
He's decent. He's shown us some waves. He knocked out Reyes after that, but then he got finished by. Who did he get finished by? He got finished pretty recently, and we were on the other side of it.
It seems like a spring breeze could knock out fucking Dom Reyes at this point.
100%, but we were on Nikita Krylov against Ryan Spann, and Krylov did win that fight. So yeah, man, I like Tanner Boser here. I think he's going to be at his legitimate weight class where he should have been fighting all along.
Yeah,
and I think he has a good matchup. I think he knows exactly what to expect. Yeah, man, give me Tanner Boser plus money all freaking day, dude. He fought Ilir Latifi. You don't think he's seen wrestling?
The bricklayer.
He's seen wrestling. You know what I mean? He knocked out Felipe Lins, PFL champion.
Yep.
I mean, he has a knockout win over Ovin St. Preux. Even John Jones couldn't get Ovin St. Preux out of there.
Fair point.
So give me Tanner Boser. We skipped over a fight, but that's my favorite dog play of the card.
I like that play, and I think we should just keep it rolling. I don't have much to say about the fight above it. The Dustin Jacoby fight. I don't have too much to say about it. But there's a really interesting fight right below it. We got Pedro Munoz taking on Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. A lot of people are high on what do they call him? El Guapo, pretty boy, Chris Gutierrez.
Yeah. I am one of those people who's high on Gutierrez.
Okay.
And I don't want to be high on Gutierrez, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
After last fight week, Gutierrez went on and liked a few of legal department's Instagram photos.
You're lying.
I'm not.
Wow, those are fighting likes.
I'm not. There were two people who went on and liked the legal department's photos. Number one was Chris Gutierrez. Number two was Tatiana Suarez.
Tatiana Suarez can like as many photos as she wants.
Right, and I'm not going to complain about that. I'm going to leave that alone. One, I'm a little bit scared of her. Two, whatever. It is what it is.
Two, you're going to welcome that in with open arms, and we're going to leave it at
that. Sure, absolutely. I'll consult our legal department.
We can let the audience decide with the rest of it.
Yeah, we can. Please don't sound off in the comments. I'm begging you. I beg of you.
I am begging you too, but it might not be for the right reasons.
Sure, and that's completely fair. I like Chris Gutierrez. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's good. I think he's, I think he's moving up steadily. His last win was Frankie Edgar. He retired Frankie Edgar, which not that impressive, but he retired Frankie Edgar very fast.
Okay.
I think I like what I've seen from Gutierrez, to the point that I'm willing to back him against Pedro Munoz, who has a loss to Frankie Edgar, first of all. I mean, it's a split decision, but if we're doing MMA math, he has a loss to Frankie Edgar. Now, look, Pedro Munoz is in one of these weird positions where his last, let's say 5 fights is 1 no contest, one win, and, 4 losses, so 6 fights. But all of the losses are very legit, right? It was Dominic Cruz, it was Jose Aldo, it was Frankie Edgar, it was Aljamain Sterling.
To Munoz, yeah.
Yes, with a win over Jimmy Rivera, kind of tucked there in the middle. But I don't know. I look at Munoz.
He beat Frankie Edgar too, by the way.
I mean, arguably, right? It was a split decision. It was an arguable victory, whatever. But Gutierrez flatlined Frankie Edgar and didn't leave it to the judges either.
Agreed.
So, I don't know.
Who do you think the favorite is?
I think the favorite's Gutierrez.
Pedro Munoz is minus 225.
That's my play of the card, then.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you have anything further?
No, that's it. That's my play of the card.
That's
I
your play of the card.
down. I broke it down. I feel confident about it.
All right, I'm going to give you the counter.
Let me hear the counter.
I'm going to give you the counter. He has a draw against Cody Durden.
Sure.
That's the counter. Cody Durden is no longer in the UFC. He has a draw against Cody Durden. His third to last fight, he has a split decision against Felipe Corrales, who has a loss to Chase Hooper on his record. His best win on his resume is Dana Baccarat. That's his best win, as far as I'm concerned. I just think Pedro Munoz has fought better guys. I saw Gutierrez go with Geraldo de Freitas Jr., and he should have finished him multiple times, as well as Ryan McDonald. I'm all Pedro Munoz here.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like Gutierrez. I think Gutierrez excels against lesser competition. I think when adversity starts to hit a little bit, he doesn't look very good. He's not good off of his back foot. He's not good when guys pressure him. He's good when he's in control. Give me Pedro Munoz here.
Hey, fair enough. Point counterpoint, right? That's what we do here.
Yep.
I like Gutierrez here, but I think we'll see. We'll see what happens. Right below it
Okay.
is fucking Clay Guida on this card.
Yeah, he is.
That's insane.
It is kind of crazy.
This man will not retire.
He probably should.
He's 41 years old.
He's not exactly exciting. Like, he's exciting to watch walk into the ring. But once he's in the octagon, I'm like, I could probably do without this.
I'm going to disagree.
Okay.
I like watching Clay Guida fight. He's very much a wrestler through and through.
He doesn't finish guys.
He doesn't finish guys. He's got, if you break it down, right? I mean, his majority of wins is decision. 16 decision victories, 14 submission victories, 7 KO victories, whatever. He's also been submitted 11 times in the octagon. And he's only been knocked out twice, which is insane when you consider he has had 60 fights. 60 professional MMA fights. He's got to be going for a record.
That's actually crazy.
38 and 22.
He's no Alex Oleinik, but he's up there.
Right. Alex Oleinik had what, like 700?
I think he has 60 MMA like professional wins.
Yeah. It's on one hand, I'm like, yeah, Clay Guida should probably retire. On the other hand, he just beat Scott Holtzman.
Yeah, it's a good win too. Yeah. Former NHL player.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alexei Oleinik is 60 and 17.
That's insane.
With a draw. So that would be
Clay Guida is on his fucking heels. Clay Guida is on his heels and does not show any signs of slowing down. And
78 professional fights.
That's insane.
Holy shit.
Insane.
Bro, listen to this. He has 47 submission wins.
Jesus.
47 submission wins. 9 knockout losses. That's wild.
That's wild. Clay Guida, I mean, you could say he should retire, but 2 years ago he beat Michael Johnson.
Who just re-signed with the UFC.
Lost to Marco Madsen, who I'm not sure if Mark is still in the UFC. I was high on Marco Madsen for what he was, a 38-year-old former Olympic wrestler. I was high on him. Beat Leandro Santos, lost to Claudio Puelles, beat Scott Holtzman. That's not bad. Like, that's not a bad kind of couple of years there. That's a mid-range UFC fighter.
Yeah. Who do you think the favorite is there?
I would guess it's Rafa Garcia.
Yeah, minus 220. He has a loss to Drakkar Klose.
He does have a loss, and a loss to Chris Gritzmacher, a loss to Nasrat Haqparast.
Nasrat Haqparast is a fucking beast.
He is. Yeah, I mean,
interesting. Clay might have a. I'm going to go with Rafa here.
Look, I understand going with Rafa. I get it, but looking at Rafa's like who's who, And looking at Clay, well, first of all, looking at Clay Guida's who's who, you find legends from 10 years ago, but um I understand that the logical play is Rafa Garcia.
Okay.
But if you were feeling spicy, maybe you got a couple of the 3 alarm wings, and maybe you got a little shot of Jim Beam there at the bar at Miller's Ale House. And by the way, folks, that's Miller's Ale House, official sponsor of the 10-8 podcast. If the fights are on, your ass better be at Miller's. I don't know. Maybe you took a date to Miller's, and maybe you're bellied up at the bar. You're trying to impress a gal.
I
You
knew
order,
this was coming.
right. You order some 3 alarm wings, and you throw them down with a little blue cheese, no ranch.
They're always trying to impress a woman, isn't it?
Isn't it? Why do we do anything? Why do we do anything that we do? It's to make
Okay.
us think we're cool. So here I am.
10-8 round podcast, life advice and betting advice, picks,
I take a
predictions.
wing, I throw it down with a little blue cheese on the end of it, because if it's ranch, you can get the fuck out of Miller's.
Okay.
Throw that wing down. I'm giving her a history lesson on
Wow.
Clay Guida and
Unreal.
what a hero in the sport he's been. And I say, fuck it. You know what? I'm putting a Jackson on Guida tonight.
You trying to have guac and chips tonight, honey? Then we're betting Clay Guida.
Right? The guac is extra. We're betting Clay Guida. That's the way it goes down. I wouldn't fucking hate on you for doing it. That's what I would do.
I don't hate it. I've seen worse bets. I like Rafa Garcia here. I think Clay's a little washed, but I've seen way worse bets. Clay Guida, like you said, is a guy who will fight for your money. He only has 2 knockout losses. You only have 2 knockout losses. The guy's going to grind.
Right. In 60 fights.
The guy is going to grind. He's going to fight. He's going to fight tooth and nail. Rafa Garcia isn't, a world beater by any means. Interesting.
Clay Guida could not spell nor define the word quit. He couldn't do it.
Let's put it this way. I would never take Rafa Garcia at minus 220. That's all I'll say. I would never touch that. The 180 could be enticing. You could get me there. So value taken into consideration, I don't hate it at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't hate it at all. The next 2 fights, I have strong leans on.
Next 2? All right, so let's go to Bill Algeo and TJ Brown.
Yeah. Who do you think the favorite is first? We'll get your little lean early.
Well, I mean, we know who I'm leaning towards.
Yeah, I know who you're leaning toward.
But I'm going to guess TJ Brown's probably the favorite.
No, Bill Algeo's the favorite.
I love that.
Minus 165, TJ Brown plus 135. And I'm with you here. I like Bill Algeo all day.
Yeah, I love Senior Perfecto here. That's great.
I do all day. Minus 165 is, and this is the best part. The next fight, the fighter that I love is also minus 165. I think you pair these 2 guys together and you're going to walk away with a pretty penny. I like Bill Algeo here. I think it's his fight to lose, minus 165 all day against TJ Brown.
What else can we say?
All fucking day.
Set it in stone. I love it.
Set it in stone. And then the next one, I like even better.
Talking about Brandon Royval?
Yeah, I'm talking Brandon Royval, Matthias Nicolau.
Okay.
Matthias Nicolau, what do you think his odds are here? Favorite or underdog?
I think he's the favorite.
He is. He is the same odds as Bill Algeo, Senior Perfecto, minus 165. Nicolau is better than Royval everywhere. Royval's fun and exciting. He brings it, but it's also a detriment to his fighting style. Matthias Nicolau, Bill Algeo, Tanner Boser, sign me up.
Are you calling that a 10-8 parlay?
I'm calling that a 10-8 parlay. I think you could play all of them straight. I mean, Matthias Nicolau he's gonna knock out Brandon Royval or submit him. That would be my play of the card.
I agree with you.
Minus 165, doesn't that seem slim? I feel like Nicolau is just way better tier fighter than Brandon Royval.
I agree with you. I think the MMA math works out there, and I like it. What else is there to say? I love it.
Good. Let's ride it then.
Do it. Bet it straight. Bet it as a parlay. Get your
Right
ass
into the sunset. Those are the predictions.
That's
We
it.
got some other fights though.
There are still quite a few fights.
Anything that gauges your interest here?
Gauges my interest is such a loaded question.
Anything you want to talk
interest,
about?
It gauges my interest that Zach Cummings is on a UFC card.
He's back, dude.
He's back fighting
And,
Ed Herman.
And he's fighting another guy who I have the same exact like feelings toward. Oh, my Ed Herman's back as well.
Ed Herman, 42 years old. Ed Herman is back.
Jesus Christ. This is a fucking
2 years old. He is back. Made his pro debut in 2003.
Yeah, dude. That's fucking wild, honestly.
He is back. He has the dubious honor of having fought Tim Boach back in the day.
Dude, Tim Boach. Jesus Christ.
Right? How's that for you? How's that grab you?
Tim Boach, dude. It feels like I watched Derek Brunson fight Tim Boach yesterday, dude.
Here's one for you. Ed Herman lost his UFC debut to Kendall Grove.
No shit.
Kendall fucking Grove, June 24th, 2006.
Bellator's pride and joy. Kendall
That's
Grove.
right. The Spider. That's not the Spider. That's the Spider. Kendall Grove.
That's wild. Yeah, Ed Herman knocked Tim Boach out.
Yes, he did.
Wow.
Kendall Grove, who, by the way, is also still fighting in KSW, which is a conversation for another day. But yeah, that's how far back Ed Herman goes.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Was that
Tim Boach? That's how you know you're a real. If you know Tim Boach's nickname, you're a real fan of MMA.
Oh my God. That cannot possibly be the watermark for fandom.
That might be the question to establish between a diehard and an absolute casual, Zach.
It couldn't be. It could not be the way to do that.
If that's your way of telling me you don't know the nickname, that's okay too.
Are you asking me? I just want to know. Are you asking me?
You know it? Did you look it up?
Are you asking me is all I want to know.
Do you know it?
You got to ask the question, motherfucker. Ask it.
Do you know Tim Boach's? That means you know it.
Yeah, it's the Barbarian.
Okay, well then, so either you Googled that or you think that is a fair test and like a fair barrier to entry.
That can't be there has to be a better. I cannot live in a world where our barrier for entry into MMA fandom hinges on Tim Boach.
But I feel like you know what I'm getting at a little bit.
I do. Because if you were watching during the Tim Boach era of the UFC,
yeah,
around the block, right? Like
exactly. If you've seen Tim Boach fight, you've basically you've been through the mill.
Right. You've done it. You're a real fan. You're not a fucking casual.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
That's all I'm saying.
I completely understand it. I do.
All right. Sorry for the Tim Boach tangent, but that had to happen.
I can't believe that fight is happening. Zach.
Yeah. What do you think the odds are on
that? I guess I think Zach Cummings is the favorite.
Minus 250. Pretty big favorite.
38 and 42 years old. I don't know.
Yeah, this is one of those fights.
There's no reason for this fight to take place.
Dude, this is one of those fights where you're just like, what year are we in?
Right. And the worst part is, it's not like you're bringing back some aging legend.
No, it's Zach Cummings.
It's Zach Cummings and Ed Herman. I didn't like them when they were in their prime.
Yeah, no, this is peak UFC though.
It's unnecessary. There's no reason for it.
It's so perfect for the UFC though. Ed Herman, Zach Cummings. Give me Zach Cummings, but I don't like it at all.
I may not watch it on moral grounds.
I hate it.
I hate that this fight's
disgusting.
This is truly fucking criminal.
Yeah, no, these two should not be fighting. It literally makes you question what year it is.
And like,
We
what are these
have,
guys making? Like five, like they're going to be making like what, 2,000 to show, 2,000 to win,
yeah,
maybe.
it's like 2000 to fucking show, 2000 and like fucking Caesar gift cards, dude. This is not a good look.
This might be elder abuse.
They're still on their old contracts.
That's insane. This is fucking criminal.
It is. They would throw this on a Kansas City card though.
They would.
This would be a this would be a fight night in Missouri to watch Zach Cummings and Ed Herman fight. Only in Missouri.
Only it, and that might be the saving grace of this fight's existence is that they're in Kansas City, Missouri, right?
It's welcomed. It could be the main event, probably.
It really probably could be out there, right? We're going back, right? We're going back to when the UFC had to flee Buffalo, New York, and go on down to Gadsden, Alabama to host a card because they couldn't get sanctioned in the state of New York and they were run out of town. Like we're going back in the day now.
Pretty much. And the reason why they were sanctioned were fights like Zach Cummings and Ed Herman.
Exactly.
That's why it was sanctioned. Yeah.
Right. Right, because somebody watched Gerard Gordeau kick a grown man's teeth into the front row as he held his head, and they were like, "Yeah, we're not letting this in our fucking state."
Yeah, this dude is 43 years of age. Like he shouldn't be fighting.
That's fucking wild.
That is wild. That really is. Zach,
Yeah, I don't feel fucking great about that.
dude, that's when I like first got into like DFS and DraftKings. Zach Cummings. That's a flashback. That's a blast from the past right there. We still got other fights. There's some relevant people down here. I don't know how much their opponents are relative. Jillian Robertson, Pierre Rodriguez. Does that interest you?
I mean, look, it's a UFC fight night. It interests me. We got an MMA podcast. I'm going to talk about it.
Jillian Robertson minus 115.
Okay.
Rear naked choke or bust. If she doesn't get the sub, she's done.
Yeah.
I kind of like Pierre Rodriguez. I'm going to side with the underdog and kind of like a lower level fight like that.
Yeah, so am I.
So give me Pierre Rodriguez just for that reason. I'll give me value in a fight that low level.
Yeah. Pierre Rodriguez, one of the reasons that Kay Henson is now on OnlyFans, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I would ride with Rodriguez here. I like Rodriguez here. She's got a win over Sam Hughes, Kay Henson. Not too many others to mention, but I think Jillian Robertson really only has one path to victory. She also lost to JJ Aldrich last year. And I have to fade Jillian Anderson or Jillian Robertson because she has a loss to Miranda Fear the Maverick.
Yeah.
Gotta fade her. I don't want to do it for that reason, but I have to because I have morals and principles.
Yeah, no, you have to have some self-respect. I get it.
That's the way it is. What else you want to talk about?
I mean, one of my favorite fighters of all time. How about?
Let's do it. Let's talk about it.
Lando Venata.
Okay.
Is on this card.
Taking on Daniel Zellhuber.
Yeah, Zellhuber is a legit prospect that they brought in. The UFC did brought in. They knew that this is going to be a battle. Anytime Lando Venata fights, it's interesting. He might go out, but if he does go out, it's going to be on his shield. Daniel Zellhuber. Let me get a little bit more info about him, but I don't know, man. Anytime Lando Venata fights, I'm going to tune in.
Yeah, Zellhuber is interesting. He lost to Trey Ogden, who got pretty handled last weekend.
Oh, that's a shit loss.
Yeah, he has a UD to Trey Ogden.
Oh, give me Lando Venata all fucking day. That's all I needed to say.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree. He won on Dana White's Contender Series back in 21. He beat Lucas Almeida.
Dude, he lost to Trey Ogden.
Yeah, he lost a UD to Trey Ogden.
Oh, give me Lando Venata, and give me Lando Venata all day. All day.
Yeah, I think just on the strength of resume alone, I think you got to ride with Venata here.
And listen to this too.
He's from Toms River, New Jersey as well, so that's a hometown boy for you.
He is from Toms River, New Jersey, and look at this on his resume. This is interesting, right? He almost knocked out Tony Ferguson.
Yep.
He has a win, then he has a loss to Tony Ferguson. Win to John Makdessi, good win. Loss, David Tamer. Draw, Bobby Green.
Yep.
Drakkar Klose loss, good loss. Matt Frevola draw. Then he goes on this little win, loss, win, loss, win, loss.
Yes.
And now it's in the win column. And Zoohuber has not fought Mike Grundy, Charles Jourdain, Bobby Green, Yancy Medeiros, Mark Diakase, Bobby Green. I mean, come on. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Diakase alone, the bone crusher.
The resumes are just different. And you're gonna give me Venata at plus money, 31 years of age. I might
Yeah,
have just found my next favorite play on the card.
I don't disagree with you. I think Lando Venata's just got the better resume. I think he's got the better strength of schedule. And Zellhuber losing his debut to Trey Ogden does not inspire confidence in my mind.
This is why we do this, Zach, because we're finding little gems here. I like Lando Venata all day.
Little baby gems, little baby
I
gems.
I do, because when you really you start to get like this Rob Font math where it's like something's just not adding up. Like, why is Adrian Yanez a favorite? This is not warranted. And I
Right.
don't see that with Zoo. The same applies with Zellhuber. I just don't see it. There's
Yeah,
nothing on the resume that warrants for him to be a favorite in this spot.
I agree.
I just don't get it. So give me Lando Venato out of Toms River, New Jersey. Represent.
Hometown boy, let's do it.
Give me Groovy all day.
All day. Groovy Lando Venata. Let's do it. Any other fights you want to talk about?
Um, not really. I think I'm good on it. Lucy Pudilova, Jocelyn Edwards. That's the first card of the card. I kind of like Pudilova there, but no strong leans. If there was somebody who I wanted to point the fans in the direction of, I would talk about it.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to go heavy into Lando Venata, but I'm glad that we did.
Yeah, I'm glad that we took our time there.
Yeah, but other than that, I think that's a decent assessment overall.
Yeah, we've got the only other one that looked interesting to me is Gaston Bolanos is making his UFC debut against Aaron Phillips.
Okay.
The Dream Killer, Gaston Bolanos, out of California, out of I think CSA in California. So pretty big striking credentials there. I think he's a Muay Thai guy from back in the day. I don't have a lean one way or the other because he had kind of a mid-range Bellator career.
Hey, 6-3.
Yeah, so he split him with Daniel Carey, lost to Chris Hatley Jr. I don't have a lean, but I'll be interested to see what's got Bolanos kind of into the UFC. I'll be interested to see if him and the guys at CSA have made any adjustments to kind of make him competitive in the UFC. So one to watch, but no lean.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, looking at Aaron Phillips' resume, there's nothing that jumps out about him.
Yeah.
Got sent into retirement by TKO of Chris Gutierrez, which is interesting because Gutierrez is on this card.
Yeah.
And then he came out of retirement, went on a 5-fight win streak against a bunch of nobodies in WFC.
Yep.
And then his first fight in the UFC, he did lose to Jack Shore, who is a 10-8 round legit guy.
It's a legit loss.
It's a very legit loss. But then it's like one of those things. It's like, you know what I mean? Like we're gonna take you for having a tough loss.
Right. Well, here's
maybe.
the thing.
Maybe,
No, let's contextualize it. Aaron Phillips has never had his hand raised in the UFC.
Yeah, but Gaston Bolanos has a split decision loss to Chris Hatley Jr. in Bellator, who's 10-7.
True, but by the look, and on the same.
This is interesting. Yeah, this is two trash cans.
He got retired by Chris Gutierrez in the WFC, not in the UFC.
Yeah.
Right? He had 2 fights in the UFC. He lost to Sam Cilia and Matt Huber back in 2014. He lost 2, got cut, got retired in the WFC a year later, middled around the WFC for a while, didn't fight anybody who jumps out at me right off the bat. It came back 3 years ago and lost to Jack Shore. I'm not really sure why the UFC is putting this guy on their cards. He's 0-3.
I mean, Gaston Bolanos' last win. This is after losing a split decision to a 10-7 Chris Hatley Jr. in Bellator. His last win is against Daniel Scary Carey, who is 7-6.
Yep.
Wow,
one of those 7 is against Gaston Bolanos.
Wow, this is
Strange. It's a
This
strange
is low. Yeah, this is very low level. Interesting. Who do you think the favorite is?
Bolanos.
Very slightly. I'm surprised that you're saying that. Minus 190. I kind of like Aaron Phillips at plus 150. I think they're both fraudulent.
I would never put my money on Aaron Phillips in a million years, so I'm going to lay
I,
off of it.
of course, but just I don't see a world where Gaston Bolanos is minus 200 against anyone on the planet.
He's and this is
Maybe
like,
I'm crazy.
he had a great Muay Thai career, got good striking credentials, but again, this is MMA, right? I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I'm interested to tune into it just to see what got Gaston Bolanos up to the UFC. Like I don't know what went through the UFC's mind to sign him, which is why I want to watch it. And I kind of remember his Muay Thai career. So I'll tune into it, but I have no lean.
I agree with that. I could take that.
Yeah. Any other fights? I think we've done the whole card now.
That does it for me.
Yeah. I don't think we have too much news. Jorge Masvidal retired.
That's fine.
That's all right. Yeah, that's cool. I think we kind of touched on that last week that he had mentioned that was a possibility. I've noticed a lot of I understand you've got to have your shtick in MMA to stay relevant. I just motherfuckers are dancing on Jorge's grave so fast. Obviously, Colby Covington dancing on his grave. Leon Edwards, who he seems to have gotten a little shot of testosterone and shit talk after these 2 wins over Usman. He went out and was like, "Yeah, Masvidal fumbled the fucking bag. Said, now I don't know which one of you bums I'm gonna fight next." Like,
I mean, he's not wrong though in a way. I mean, as much shit as Masvidal has talked after he, sucker punched him in England. I mean, I'd dance on his grave equally if I was Leon Edwards, to be completely honest.
I was just surprised. I don't know why I have in my mind that Leon Edwards is this kind of non-shit talker. I don't think it's accurate, but I'm always
I just think guys like Jorge Masvidal would bring that out of you, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they do.
Jorge Masvidal is like one of those guys where it's like, don't throw rocks in a glass house type of thing.
Yeah,
But,
he who laughs last laughs loudest.
oh Christ!
Yeah,
Who laughs last laughs best?
laughs best.
That's the new one.
That's the new one.
That's what's in these days.
That's what's hot in these streets. Yeah, there's so many things you could say about the career of Jorge Masvidal. Came up in the backyard fighting scene down there in Miami, which is obviously sort of hollowed ground. That was the area that birthed the fight career of Kimbo Slice. Masvidal, who had kind of a mid-range UFC career, was kind of a so-so fighter, left, came back with his Street Jesus persona, beat Darren Till. I think he still has the fastest knockout in UFC history over Ben Askren with a flying knee.
He does.
And that was honestly probably where he topped out, right? He would go on to beat Nate Diaz and get the BMF title, a title that the UFC made up to sell fights. And that was kind of all she wrote. But we talked about last week. I mean, Jorge seems to be doing really well with this boxing promotion. It seems like at least the first iteration of it went well.
Yeah.
The purses were huge for those guys. So
yeah, you have to think, how much money did that event lose, right?
Right, it must have been a lot.
Hundreds of thousands.
It'd be so much fucking money.
Millions if they even had that much to begin with.
Right. Your main event was a 52-year-old Roy Jones Jr. That being said, I don't know. Jorge Masvidal was always a fun guy to watch. Lost pretty handily to Gilbert Burns over the weekend. You got anything to say about the legacy of Game Bread, of Street Jesus?
I mean, dude, obviously amazing guy to watch fight, right? He caught lightning in a bottle. He went on a run that a lot of people didn't think he was going to happen. I mean, he was like 10 to 15 years a veteran of the game. And then he went on his run after that stretch, knocking out Darren Till, knocking out Ben Askren, and then eventually, getting into the upper echelon of the division. Obviously, dude, legend of the game, street fighter, known on Kimbo Slice's backyard fights. He will be missed for sure, dude. He's definitely a superstar in the sport, though.
Yeah, he was.
Give him his due. You got to give him his due.
Got to give him his due and propers. He always brought something to the table. He was always exciting to watch. Wish him the best, and that's That's really about all I have in the news. You got anything else in the news?
Not really, man.
All right, I'll give you my recommendation for the week.
Let's hear it.
This is a good one. So I want to get everybody ready for a Clay Guida fight. I want to get them ready for wrestling. I want to get them excited about the sport of wrestling. So this is a
Okay.
new documentary that just came out. It's called Helen Believe. It's about Helen Maroulis, who was America's first female Olympic gold medalist wrestler.
Oh, interesting.
She's been a dominant wrestler for a number of years, really an incredible wrestler. Um, Paved the way for a lot of other female wrestlers who have now built a name off of this. So that's my recommendation for the week for the fight fans out there looking to learn a little something something. I'd recommend Helen Believe. Got anything else?
That's all she wrote, baby.
All right, well then everybody get ready for Saturday. Go Max Holloway, and as always, call your mother. Tell her you love her. We out.
Peace.